Then I got this letter from Weider Publication. So I'm coming here to train with the Weider boys. And I showed him the letter, and everybody started laughing. Another sucker. He was sitting across in front of me, and he looked at me, and he says, I don't give blacks contracts.
Let's jump right into it. 1975, you come to Los Angeles. You get invited by Joe Weider to train at the Mecca, do some photo shoots, compete, correct?
Exactly.
How did that happen? Like, what was your first impression of Los Angeles? You land in LA. What are you thinking?
You know, I grew up in the swamps of Florida, so I didn't really have any idea that someone of that notoriety and that famous and known all over the world himself, that was a magazine publisher, would even reply to the letter. So I sent him some pictures of myself, double bicep from the rear, double bicep from the front, side chest shot. And Richard Baldwin was the one that took the photographs of myself. Mm-hmm. And I put them all together, sent him this little package of me, not expecting to hear anything from him. Then I got this letter from Weider Publication. His name was on there. Joe Weider had signed it. I was ecstatic. He invited me to come out to Los Angeles, California in 1975 to train with the Weider boys. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow. I had an incredible job working at the Tallahassee Democrat. Mm-hmm. And I was like...
That was a magazine, right? You worked for? It was a magazine?
No, it was a newspaper.
A newspaper,
It was a newspaper. And I worked for this newspaper for like almost 7-8 years. And then all of a sudden, one thing that newspapers did was publish all my wins. They would write little articles. Robby Robinson won Mr. Southeast. You know, Robby Robinson placed 5th in the Mr. American. So I was getting known pretty much all over Florida. And then I got the letter from Joe Weider, invited me to come to train with the Weider boys. As I say, I was ecstatic. Mm-hmm. My whole world changed. I left immediately to Los Angeles, California, 2 paychecks. Mm-hmm. And I think $7 in my pocket and 2 paychecks.
I love it.
And I got to California, found a way to get to Gold's Gym. Got to Gold's Gym. I walked in. The first person I encountered was Eddie Giuliani. And Eddie Giuliani goes, I said, I'm coming here to train with the Weider boys. And I showed him the letter, and everybody started laughing. Another sucker. Uh-oh. That's what they say. Oh, you've been suckered too. Uh-oh. And I was like, okay, Duncan, what is this? What is he talking about? And he said, this guy does that to all the guys that have great physiques. And at this point, I had a one-way ticket and my 2 paychecks and the $7. So I'm thinking, oh man, have I gotten myself into trouble? Because in my courses, you can't go back home and say anybody's done anything, especially if you're going to bring up, well, the white person wouldn't let me do this. They would say, hey, you should have thought about that before you left.
Totally.
So I couldn't go back home. So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, oh God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Didn't have a place to stay, no apartment. And I was just kind of stayed around the gym. Ken Sprague's kind of let me sleep in the gym. And I was, from that point on, totally brain dead. Then I met a guy from Florida. His name was Mike Armstrong. He was a school teacher. Uh-huh. In that process, Mike let me stay at his place to help get me grounded, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with myself. He lived right off the beach, probably walk out of his door right to Gold's Gym. Wow. So I had that little gift from the man upstairs. Uh-huh. And Mike. If it wasn't been for Mike, I probably would have been on the streets.
Wow.
So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, Mike ate steak, Robby ate steak. Mike went out to eat, Robby went out to eat. If Mike went out someplace to do anything, Mike will always take me with me. He was a school teacher, good guy.
Yeah.
White, from Florida.
Uh-huh.
And he recognized the fact that he said, you've been set up, man. It's just, there's nothing you can do about it. You're not in a good place. You can just use my place. And I mean, that was a gift, because I could relax. At least I had a stomping ground, a sleeping place to sleep.
Of course.
Had my own little bed to sleep right there by the door. And, Mike stepped in the other bedroom. And then, for some unknown reason, Joe Weider asked me to come out to the office.
Yes.
So they let me go out to the office. I got to ride out to the Weider's office. I go into the office. I sit there. 1 hour go by, 2 hours. I sit there for like almost 3.5 hours waiting to see him.
Uh-huh.
And then finally I got a chance to see him. I went up to his office, invited him to his office.
Is this the first time you guys met?
Yeah.
Got
That's
it.
the first time we had met. I sit there in his office in his big chair, and he was sitting across in front of me, and he looked at me and he says, I don't give blacks contracts. I think I could have, on a psychologically, just stopped inside of my head. And I'm saying, well, but you gave me this letter. Just kind of shrugged it off, got up and walked out the room and left me there. Annalise Light was his secretary. And she said, Mr. Robinson, you have to wait downstairs after that little short meeting.
Uh-huh.
And so I went down the stairs and waited for another 3.5 hours till it was closing. And then she came to the stairwell and said, Mr. Weider just left. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay. And then Denny Gable was the guy that had drove me out to the Weider office. That's how we became friends.
Got it. Yes.
And he came and he said, let's go. We left and went on the way home. And he said, I'm sorry about that, Robby. He said, but, that happened to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
He said, that's just something you have to deal with,
So it was like
I was able to suck it up.
Yeah.
And deal with it. I got a call from Gene Mosé, who was the Weider photographer at this point. He said, Joe Weider wanted to do a cover shot of you. Mm-hmm. That changed my life.
Wow.
Right there. All of a sudden, I'm on the cover, flexing this incredible physique for them in a sense. And from that point on, I started getting exhibitions and seminars all over the world.
So it was like rude awakening. You come to LA, big dreams, one-way ticket, and all the dreams are about to come true. You're at the Mecca, you're in LA, but then you meet Joe, and then it was like almost like a peak, then a valley. Exactly. It was a letdown. Oh man, what did I get myself into? And then you get the photo shoot, and then you're on a peak again.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
The whole world knows about Robby.
All of a sudden I'm like getting calls from countries, Belgium and Germany and Latin America countries, Argentina, and they wanted me to fly to these trips. And I'm thinking I'm feeling like a superstar at this point.
Yes.
So all of a sudden I'm making $750 an hour. $750 plus expenses, plus hotel accommodation, plus airfare flight, business class. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a change in my life.
And back then, $750 was
that's
good money.
In that time period, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And I got booked for pretty much the whole year, $750. And then as I got more and more cover shots, more and more notoriety in the magazine, I went from $750, $800 to $1,000, $1,500, $2,000.